Everyone, my name is Ashley Suzanne DeMarco, and I am here with the lovely Sarah Holden and Jordana Colby, and we are here on a mission to share how we're using this machine in our, for me, it's like a mini farm operation, and I'm sure Sarah and Jordana will come out and share as well, but we already own the machines. We use it every single day in our household for so many different things. And it's our passion to teach you, if you already own a machine, or if you don't, and you're coming here to learn, about more versatility of the machine, how to use this, how to reduce more toxins in our lives. Because, when we're talking about our household, right? Like this, we know this machine, and most of us who have it are using it for almost everything that would be, considered toxic in our home. But we don't think about, or I didn't start thinking about until the last 2 years, what is on our food. And it really hit me when I started washing my produce with the 11.5, right? We all had that first situation where we're like, wait, I am buying organic. I am spending 30 to 40% more than the original, conventional foods, right? People buying organic in the United States are spending between $3,000 and $5,000 more a year on organic. And so we're seeing that all of that residue is still coming off of our food. That's crazy. I mean, I'm trying so hard to eliminate toxins from my kids' lives, but then, the food that we're eating is covered in it, whether it's organic or not. And so I believe, and I think Sarah and Jordana would agree with me, is that we can really start shifting what is on our food by, yes, our own microcosm, our own farms, our own gardens, right? But when we're selling these products, when we're positioning ourselves, we can be going into farms, we can be going into nurseries, we can be going into any agricultural facility, people with chickens, people with cows. Like if this is so good for humans, it's the same, like it's just as good for animals and plants and cannabis and all medicinal medicine, right? And so this is why we're here. This is why we're taking time away from our families. All three of us are busy, busy moms. And we're here tonight to share with you this information because we care so much about you learning this and then sharing this with other people. Because for me, it's like, I can know all the information in the world, but if it's not shared, what are we going to do with it? We have to work together to reduce the amount of contamination, the amount of plastic, the amount of toxins in our world. And we're not just talking about contamination from pesticides. Every single one of these products that we're replacing on a farm, they come in a plastic bottle. If you help one farm get one machine, it will replace hundreds of thousands of pieces of plastic, single-use plastic, from going into a landfill every single year, every single month, every single day. So I care so much about this. Yes, the toxin thing too, but it's the plastics, it's the whole ecosystem of what toxins in our food system, in our, what our animals that we're eating, what they're drinking, it all comes together. And really, return to origin is what Enagic and Kangen stand for. And that is what we are doing here tonight. We are teaching you these methods that help us return to origin. And so I just am so grateful for all of you here tonight. If you could post a comment right now saying where you're from in the world. And if you already own a machine, that would help us get some just clarity on who's here tonight with us. So yes, here I am. I'm Ashley. I'm from North Carolina. And yes, I have all of Enagic's amazing products. Thank you so much for being here. We've got Michigan, we've got San Diego, Oklahoma, Saskatchewan, if I said that correctly. Awesome. So it looks like everybody here owns a machine, which is amazing. we just kind of wanted to get to know you, who's here listening. All right. Well, I am going to introduce Sarah Holden tonight. We're going to have some people, my partner's going to share at the end. He's farming with this. He's just putting the kids to bed. But also, if you are already farming with this and you want to share at the end, please, we want to hear your voice. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please post them in the comments, and I'll sort and sift, because a lot of it will be covered in the presentation. So without further ado, thank you so much, Sarah, for being here.
Thanks, Ashley. If you wouldn't mind making so I can share. So it looks like we have lots of people from different places. Is there anyone here who does not have a machine? Okay. So we're going to go over how to use this technology in an agricultural setting, whether that's your garden in the backyard or a hydroponic system that you may have. And this would be referring to any type of plant that you're trying to grow. I know there might be some cannabis growers here. This all works interchangeably. So I'm Sarah Holden. I'm a botanist, and I've worked in the plant world for over 20 years. Some of my past professions have been in horticulture for the county level. I've worked for the EPA and our state agriculture. I'm actually in Montana. I have spent past years regulating pesticide use. And so when I got this machine, I got a K8. I also have a super that I loan out to farms to try and check out. When I started with the water, I actually was just wanting it for my health. And lo and behold, I started to dig. I love doing research and realized that this could be something that I could start sharing to help, one, eliminate the plastics that we have coming out of the ag commodity industry, and then also to help with growing our gardens or our medicinal plants in a way where we're not using a lot of pesticides. So I'm also a clinical herbalist, so just plants are my jam. So I'm going to share my presentation with you guys. And if you've got questions, you can put those in the comments, or go ahead and just unmute yourself and we can ask that as we go through. So first off, we're going to just cover some basics. We'll talk about Enagic as a company, and then there's a lot of science. And at the end of this, I'll have my contact info. So if you want to shoot me an email or a text, I'm happy to send you the information as far as all of the science and peer-reviewed literature I've found on this technology. You can find this information by searching for structured water, electrolyzed water, functional water, a lot better than if you're searching for like Kangen water. So looking up those type of keywords in agriculture, you're able to find quite a few studies that have been coming out. We'll also talk about, why using this over other options in farming will help with our environmental issues. And then we'll talk about some protocols. So this is actually a super here. This is in a greenhouse setup. And this machine produces 2 gallons per minute. And so a lot of people, they will capture water. They'll have it in these 30-gallon barrels. If you're a smaller operation, my husband always makes fun of me because I have like all these jugs everywhere where I'm like capturing water to use for later. So what is Enagic? You may or may not know this if you are all machine owners, but Enagic has been in the industry for over 45 years. They are the number one in this ionizer world. And they basically took technology that was coming in after World War II and realized that this science could be utilized for health. And so they started looking at it as a tool for drinking. Something that's really great about this company, if you are selling these machines or talking to others about purchasing one, is that it's an original equipment manufacturer. And that means that everything in this machine is made by a Enagic. And so there's no recalls or things breaking. And I believe that that is why their machines last as long as they do. I have met people here in my hometown that have machines that are 20, 25 plus years old. So even if using it in a more industrialized or commercial setting, if you're changing those filters and maintaining this machine, doing the e-cleaning and whatnot, you should get a good life out of this machine. These are some of the seals, if you will. Enagic is the only ionizer manufacturer in the world with these certifications, these ISO certifications. And so that, I think, says a lot. And they are tested and certified under Water Quality Association standards. So you often hear change your water, change your life, but also changing the water for your plants can really change your harvest or the amount of food that you're getting. And I think it's really exciting as it seems like people are coming more on board with growing small gardens or growing even an indoor garden, planting raised beds if they don't have a permanent spot. It's more and more on our radar. And that's really powerful in this time of society where our food costs are going up and up. You can grow your own food a lot cheaper in the long run than what we're seeing in grocery stores. And so this machine in Japan and some other countries, this is a medical grade machine. And so it was originally used for cleaning, sanitizing, medical, surgical equipment in hospitals. It's used all over in the medical industry in Japan, Philippines, Korea. And it's coming on board in the States as well. Also, this type of technology has been around, more so being used in other countries like Japan, some of the Asian countries, and also in like Australia. But what's great is that you can create different pH water with this machine. So this is kind of how it works. If you are growing in a greenhouse operation or you're pulling water from a well, I highly recommend getting a pre-filter. And you can purchase these in any type of like hardware store or even a water quality testing business in your town. But like I have an actual filtration that goes onto the hose and then goes into like right before the machine. So that way the water can have that extra step of filtration before it's getting to the filter in the machine. This will help with the life of your machine, especially if you're in an ag setting where you're using a well. Oftentimes those well water tests can come back high, heavy minerals, heavy metal content, and it's good to protect your machine that way. I also recommend, getting a soil test done for where you're growing or soil testing the medium that you're growing in. And then also if you wanted to test your well, just seeking out a water quality specialist in your area. So the water comes in, it's filtered through the machine, and then there's chambers. So depending on which machine you have, the K8 has 8 titanium platinum dipped plates. And what's different about Enagic is our plates are actually full coverage area. A lot of other companies use mesh plates, and so those break down over time. And ours are have a really nice expansive area for that water to kind of electrify in this electrolysis chamber. When you add salt to this water and then the process of chemistry and the electrification and the salt water, you can actually split the water. We can get alkaline or base water or acidic water. So with the super machine, you get a big bag of salt to use, and then something like the K8, we have solutions that you can purchase. So what are the ways that your tap or your well are affecting your production? And a lot of people don't think about this if they're watering their garden with a well, if they're not really sure what that water is, what the pH is. Plants really like between 5.5 and 6 or 6.5, varying. So it's really awesome that we can choose the beauty water setting on our machine and provide that perfect pH balanced water for our garden, for our hydroponic system, and to use in that way to help boost those plants while they're growing and to support them. So again, I highly recommend if you could, if you don't know what your tap water or your ag water well is, you might want to look into that. And then you can get a pre-filter to kind of filter out what's going on. Do any of you use reverse osmosis? Okay. So reverse osmosis, that came out years ago, and especially in the cannabis industry, it was like this big thing because it was seemed like the best way to really strip that water and start with this really zero contaminants, zero anything. And what we've kind of started to realize is that the RO system has a lot of waste. A lot of water is wasted in that process. And then you have to it basically strips it and creates dead water. So an RO system leading into your machine would not be good. It would not be advised. You'd want to, if you have an RO system and you want to use this machine, you would want to have some filter between the RO and the machine that adds in those important minerals, because our machine actually utilizes those minerals found commonly in water to create that living water. So think about reverse osmosis again if this is something you're considering. In my opinion, there's plenty of larger farms that I'm seeing moving away from the RO and looking at ionized water, which our machine makes. Another thing, and Ashley mentioned this briefly at the beginning, but if you're a large scale grower, what type of plastic waste are you creating? Especially, in the nursery industry, we have the trays and the tubs and all sorts of this kind of really cheap plastic that easily breaks down after 1 or 2 uses. Are you buying water bottles for all of your employees? So how can you eliminate that plastic? And oftentimes what we're really finding out now is that plastic is really usually only put into the system with one recycling time for that life of that plastic. So it's usually recycled once and then it can't be recycled after that. So it's made into a plastic that's not recyclable. And so, just really being mindful of that. This is a just an example, a lot of people, and maybe you're doing this as well, use hypochlorous acid that you can actually purchase and utilize that for cleaning, disinfecting, sanitizing in a grow operation, whether it's cannabis, hemp, strawberries, tomatoes. A lot of larger scale farming operations purchase hypochlorous acid. But what does the machine make? Hypochlorous acid. So the 2.5 acidic Kangen water is considered hypochlorous acid. That's why if you've ever noticed, it kind of smells like bleach. So for $1,700, I could purchase and get about 15 gallons right now. Or I could make it on demand to use on my operation. And if you're a small gardener, maybe you want to keep your plastic containers. Maybe you went to your local gardening store and you purchased some seedlings and some starts, and they've come in plastic trays or plastic pots. You could utilize after your growing season, putting all of your medium in a pile, so to speak, mixing that all together, and then cleaning and sterilizing, disinfecting all of your trays and pots with hypochlorous acid. So then you could reuse them and not have any worry about pests. And then microplastics. That's just another thing that I think is important. And this machine is showing us in so many ways that microplastics can be avoided. I mean, I'm sure all of you who have a machine have really noticed, hopefully, that you're not out buying a lot of plastic drinks, bottles, plastic bottles that we have drinks in. Since we got our machine several years ago, it has really just changed our mindset about what we're purchasing, what we're, demanding as a consumer. And my kids are always filling up their water bottle and taking it with them. So it definitely, this machine can lead to different mindset, different routines, and then one little drop in that water creates a big ripple. So what is our legacy? I tried to play this last time and the sound didn't work. So I'm not going to bother to do this, but I encourage you, I can provide the link for this, and we are recording it so you can get this. But if you even just went on YouTube and did electrolyzed water, the future for ag, you'll find this. And this is a news story talking about using electrolyzed water, the same technology on obviously a larger scale in row cropping systems in Australia. So really interesting. And one of the biggest takeaways from this video was the using this water for pest control. So I thought that was important to include. So some of the benefits that we see with this machine, outside of you'll hear about 68 different uses for health and mind and body, but this machine has a lot of benefits in our garden structure. So definitely there are lots of studies showing that ionized water, electrolyzed water, and perfect pH will yield higher harvests. This is also a great tool to create an IPM program on your farm, in your greenhouse, and even if you are just growing a small backyard garden, when do you get to the point in your gardening system where you're saying, okay, I have too many aphids attacking my plants. So it's almost like you're creating a threshold level, and we often set these levels in a best management approach or an IPM approach. And so even a home gardener is going to have a threshold for when they say, man, my plants are just looking really bad. I'm going to go over to the hardware store and get some aphid spray. So definitely this is a great tool to put into an IPM program if you've already got one going. Employee safety is really exciting using this water. And then definitely cost savings. There are lots of farmers and growers that are seeing savings by utilizing this system. And it's really effective in all sorts of areas, indoor growing, hydroponic growing, living soil, and so on. One of the main things that people think when they think of like gardening or agriculture is balancing the pH. So if you're already using a pH buffer, an upper, downer, and you're adding that product into your water system to try to create that 6.0 or 5.5 range, this machine can do that for you. So one, you're eliminating those bottles, and two, you're eliminating that extra additive and that extra step. So this is a great tool for balancing. And then another thing that I think is really powerful, and maybe you haven't really thought of this, but plants really, the redox potential is what you'll read about in studies regarding agriculture and root health, really expanding those rhizomes, working with the microbes or the microbiology that's found in the soil. Our water has a very high negative oxidative reduction potential. So when you like cut an apple, that oxygen will immediately start to work on that apple, and it will start to oxidize. Just like in our bodies, we constantly are trying to fight oxidation in our bodies by maybe eating green leafy vegetables. We have free radicals in our bodies that can either turn into a disease or not, depending on, what we're putting in our gas tank, so to speak. Are we eating a more acid diet or a more base or alkaline? So plants are the same way, and ionized water with this really high negative ORP is really beneficial for the root structures, especially in plants. They actually utilize that ORP to create stronger rhizomes, if you will, like all of the root hairs as well. And then it also helps bring more nitrogen uptake to the plant. And then also just helps with that homeostasis or that balance in that plant. So germination and production. Are any of you starting your plants from seed? So you can actually start, throw all your seeds in a tray or a bucket of 11.5, let them soak in that strong alkalized water. And what we're seeing and what studies are showing is that the germination rate is quicker, faster, and it's helping with increasing that yield and getting better absorption into those plants. And if you guys don't mind, if you're not muted, if you wouldn't mind to mute yourself. Thank you. These are just a few examples just from a talk that I was watching on YouTube. I did include several YouTube videos of talks and videos that I think would be really eye-opening for everyone, and I did put those at the end of this talk. There's also this Italian study that showed they used ionized water on plant growth in multiple growing settings and saw increased germination and increased pest resistance just by using the ionized water as kind of a preventative application. So this is example of seed germination and plant growth. So especially in cannabis or hemp, farmers are seeing plants coming out, breaking seed dormancy quicker, starting to grow faster, and coming out of that nursery with stronger root systems and stronger stalks, if you will. Another thing too is you can dip or throw your clones into 2.5 acidic water that will help disinfect. That'll kill any bugs that might be coming over from another operation, and it doesn't seem to harm the plants. And then you can plant those after you do that soak. I included this. There's some nerdy stuff in here, but this was just using activated water, which is what we're talking about, just another term for it, and talking about how ionized water in an irrigation system is beneficial for the absorption of roots in the soil. And so I thought that was really interesting how that activated water really worked well and almost complemented the microbial content that we find in our soil. So it's kind of like this really nice partnership that Mother Nature has always provided through natural rainwater, and we're trying to mimic that. And it says down here, exploring the physiological and ecological functional potential of activated water irrigation has great theoretical and practical importance for conserving water and increasing agricultural efficiency. So I think that's pretty powerful, and hopefully we'll get some large-scale operations to see the benefits. Sometimes pictures really stand out and can be really powerful testimony. So I just included these, found them on the internet, probably somebody's science experiment here, but you can see the Kangen electrolyzed reduced water is growing a lot more on top and under. So if you look and see all those roots, how packed that jar is. Tap water and the reverse osmosis, and then in comparison also to bottled water. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize this, but bottled water is often just tap water or spring that they're bottling and selling to us. So this is the super. Does anybody here have the super? Okay. I'm not watching the chat, so maybe you're saying that in there. So this machine is awesome. It is a commercial machine. It does a larger output. It has more plates than the K8. It's, I think, runs about $6,000. But it creates all of the strong acidic water, the strong Kangen water. You can change the levels somewhat, and then you also get, of course, the 9.5, the 9.0, and the 8.5, and also the 6.0. So again, think about all the ways, if you're in a commercial or commodity driven program, how you can utilize this technology outside of just growing. So cleaning, disinfecting, and like I mentioned earlier, cloning, seed starting, and then also the preventative. This woman, and I did include her talk, Beverly Rubik. She is definitely a nerd, and she had a great presentation talking about this type of water being used in the body, and then also in agriculture. She was doing it for like a living system, soil system conference, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And then she also touched on utilizing this water for cleaning and as a sanitizer in the food industry. So the FDA has actually approved not this machine, but this technology or hypochlorous acid as a tool, an approved tool to use when washing or cleaning your fruits, vegetables after harvest, so then they can be ready to be dispersed to stores or put into the supply chain. So it's pretty cool. And it's just a very powerful disinfectant for so many ways. I think a big thing too, and maybe, if you're a smaller home gardener, like I have a home garden here, I don't use pesticides in it. If we do get pests, which we don't have a lot here in Montana, but I know some of you southern states and whatnot, you have different conditions that really exacerbate different pests. So for me, I'm just picking them off or trying like a hard water like spray, but you may be using pesticides. And so how can we look at other options that will really change our mindset? So again, I talked about the IPM approach and putting together thresholds for your operation, using this water for prevention. Okay, and so it doesn't have phytotoxicity in a greenhouse or outdoor growing setting. So that's really powerful as well, because sometimes when we're using chemicals, we will see phytotoxic effects on leaves and plants. It leaves no chemical residue. And so if you're growing hemp or cannabis in your area, you probably have some standards to meet as far as with your department or state regulations. And oftentimes growers can lose an entire harvest if their chemical residues are higher than what's allowed. So imagine being able to go into those tests without having any worry about chemical residues. Safe for all growing stages, and it's really what I would consider a least toxic and least expensive, most effective alternative that you can utilize. And people will say, oh, whatever, it's just water, it's just snake oil, but there are so many studies coming out about using this type of ionized electrolyzed water that it's kind of hard, I think, for moving forward for commodity producers to ignore this technology. I think it'll start coming down really fast. So again, this is not toxic to you, but it is toxic to those insects because they don't like that acidic environment. If you want to do like a screenshot, this is a protocol. So you can use it as a preventative or as if you have a chronic problem, powdery mildew, any type of antifungal, antibacterial. This is a great tool to use. If you have pests, you can also use this if you have thrips or mites. Bugs won't like it as well, and you can use it in these different ways by alternating it every few days if you're using it as a preventative, or repeat it every day if you're using it as an elimination option. And you're just alternating back and forth. And I just have like kind of like a mist sprayer, backpack sprayer. And I just go in and I will just take down my whole greenhouse, really drenching the plants. You won't get enough in the soil in those containers to change the pH of the soil enough. And so it's really powerful. These are some pesticides that are often used in greenhouses this is for cannabis, even though because cannabis is not legal at a federal level, we really don't have good tools yet as far as chemical controls because nothing's been tested on this plant. And so everything that we're using is really going against the EPA and their label requirements, but we're just trying to figure out. So water, Kangen water, 5 cents a gallon. So definitely, I encourage you to even just take, 5 plants out of your rotation and do a study and see how that water works in comparison to your traditional methods that you're using now. And then this is me and a crew. We were doing some spraying and row cropping cannabis, if you will. And we had the great task of doing a lot of the spraying. And so, we wore a lot of PPE. And so this product can really protect those that are working in these ag environments. Imagine if you could keep your employees in the greenhouse while you were spraying instead of making everybody leave for a 4-hour reentry interval where they have to stay out for at least 4 hours. So it's in the long run just the safety. If you are in a large commodity grow operation, you won't need licenses, you won't need spraying training, you won't have like all of these gross, covered and toxic contaminated equipment, and you won't have those residues. Another thing I wanted to just touch on, this is from the Kangen Queens, using a feeding protocol and a water protocol. And so this water works really well if you're making your own compost tea, because the plant, they will take up those nutrients better, and you'll see this in your growing as well. Though Kangen water is microclustered, and that molecular hydrogen is really easily accessed by the plants and those root systems. And so that actually, we have growers that are seeing less and less inputs needed as well using this water. So I won't get into this because you all have machines, it seems, but we've got the K8, which is our residential model. You can definitely use that in a small growing operation, but I would highly recommend the Super if you are doing a larger growing operation, or even for nursing homes, restaurants, all of those types. This pumps out more water and it's just made for more production. And it's industrial strength. Like I said at the beginning, it pumps out about 2 gallons of water per minute. And a lot of farms will store this water for several days. The hypochlorous acid, that'll stay good for a week to 10 days if you have it kind of covered in a dark container and sunlight isn't affecting it. This is an image. This is from Eric Brandstand, and he had posted this, and I thought it was kind of great to see. They have 4 supers here. What they do is they have the water coming in this holding tank above, and then filtered in through the supers, and then the water being stored in these shuttles below. So it definitely can work in a large or small operation. And also I want to say too, if you have animals that you're growing, this is a great water source for those animals. And there's also some information that you can find on utilizing this in chicken operations. Kangen water is used by Enagic on their beef farm, and it's a really great investment over time. So I just wanted to, let's see if this is going to come up. So this might be a little big, and that's why it's taking a minute. Yeah, these next 2 slides, you'll see these when you open this, but these are all the videos. It says waiting for YouTube, but these are all the videos, here they come, that you can click on and watch. This is in rice farming, this is in chicken farming, this is Beverly's talk, and then I have some cannabis specific hemp videos on this slides. And then this is my information if you want to take down my number or my Gmail here and just reach out with any further questions, or you're interested in the research that I found using this water, I'm happy to share it with you. So with that, I will turn it back over to Ashley unless there's any questions. And I'm not sure if Ashley's partner is available to do a testimony. Let's see.
I'm here.
Justin,
Hi.
thank you.
Oh, nice. We have our microgreens farmer. You want to take it away, Justin?
Sure. There's the room.
Nice.
There's Mitch. Say wave, Mitch. There's Mitch. Yeah. Before I met Ashley, before I was introduced to Kangen, this is a product called Briotech. And their ingredients is electrolyzed water and a 0.04% dilution rate of HOCl. That means there's 5 ounces of pure hypochlorous. The rest is 7.0 water. And it retails for $30 a jug. I bought 4 at a discount. And I haven't bought any since, but I've been reusing the jugs with my own dilution ratios, cleaning my trays, cleaning my room, cleaning myself, dogs, everything. So there's no need to go down any big box cleaning aisles anymore. And that's what this month. Oh, and seed germination. Yeah, everything you presented. I know I came in late because I get sidetracked, but you did a good presentation. What I heard.
Thank
Justin, would you say that you are seeing higher yields using this water with your microgreen business?
Yeah, because my machine took a spill a month ago, and so I've been without for the last 3 weeks. I've been getting drinking water from Ashley, but I've reverted back to my well water. And I can notice when I'm using Kangen water how my trays turn out and how they don't. So the next run after tomorrow will be back to hydrogen water.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justin. I personally get to try these microgreens that he grows, and they're absolutely delicious. And it's just so amazing to see, you know, how many of us really didn't know how good we had it. And so we had to like leave the machine or go away for a weekend, and we bought bottled water, and we're just like, oh my God, this tastes horrible. It's so acidic. I can feel it sitting in my gut. That's kind of how our plants feel. I imagine that's how my chickens felt when we went to Mexico this January. Because when we got back, our chickens went from producing 1 egg a day. Once they got the Kangen water back in their systems, for a solid week, they were producing 2 eggs a day, like happy as can be to have this water back. Another thing I wanted to mention is that we use a 6.0 and just spray it on them. It helps keep them cool and protects them from fleas and bugs. And I've heard, you know, people with cows or goats or horses do this as well. You know, the same pumper you would use to spray the 2.5 on the crops, you just spray on your animals with the 6.0, and same with their as our skin, their hair, their fur. It's really good for that as well. Yeah, and we also grow, I'm going to just speak really quick for my partner. He's putting our son to bed, but he grows all sorts of medicinal herbs as well. And he grows everything with this water. It's too dark now, but we have a 20-gallon reservoir tower garden with 28 spots. And we've had it since we lived in the concrete jungle of San Diego. You know, we grew you know, herbs, medicinal herbs, and all of our greens, you know, lettuce greens from this tower for the last 6 years. And the last 2 years, we've used this Kangen water. And what we do is we hook our acidic hose up to that longer gray tube that they send you, and we just have it feeding into a 5-gallon under the sink. So every time we use the 9.5, which is what we drink, that 4.5 is going into that tub. And that is what we fill with the Tower Garden reservoir with. And that is what we use to grow our medicinal herbs, as well as all of our greens. And we do this indoor and outdoor. And so we've definitely seen higher yields. And again, like we used to have to use uppers and downers to get the pH right. And now we just do, like, we fill most of it with the 4.5, and then we again position maybe some 9.0 just to get that pH back down to 6 or up to 6. But we don't have to use anything. Nope. Again, we used to buy plastic containers with pH adjusters for this tower, and now we don't ever have to buy those again. We just use water, and it's the runoff water. So it'd be water that would be wasting anyway, now is going to feeding our plants. And it's such an easy operation. Like I'm telling you, if you even just have friends or something that want to start growing simply, it runs on a timer. It's very simple to use. And again, it can fit in a very small space. So even if you're in a city or an apartment, which we could fit it in there. But another thing we do is we spray the 2.5 and the 11.5 on our medicinal plants, and that prevents all of the issues that we used to have before. We used to have bud rot, we used to have mites, we used to have all these other issues that we would then have to tackle after the fact. Like Sarah was saying, we had to buy other products to kind of tackle it. Our IPM thresholds were hit. And so now we just do that prevention. And so we don't see those same issues in our, and again, we're a micro operation, but I think, a lot of us we're just practicing, right? We're just learning, and everything with farming and gardening, right? It's like you're trialing and erring, if that's how you say it, but you're just learning every day. And so what I decided to do tonight, because I'm just like, there's so many of us on these calls every other week, I just created a Telegram group. So, and I'm going to post the link in the comments, but I just would love for you guys to share your just share your progress with each other, because the only way, again, we can't even really talk about cannabis online where I'm at right now, because we're in North Carolina and it's considered illegal. I just moved from California where it was legal. So we talk, it's hard to get information, like Sarah was saying, because this isn't really being studied on a larger scale. And so we are the study. And so I encourage you to share your results with us, so that, or with the group, so that we can, just continue to get the word out about this even more. So thank you all so much for being here. I think maybe Jordana wanted to share. And did anyone else have any questions?
Louise has her hand up. Louise, you want to shout out your question?
Yes, I did have a question. Thank you guys for doing this, by the way. This has been awesome. When you're doing the HOCl, hypochlorous acid, on the farm, are you making it every single day, or like how long is it stored? Is it like a week?
Well, maybe Justin wants to answer this, and if not, I will.
Yeah, hang on. Where am I at? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you use it right, you'll make it every day. If you use it properly, you will have to make it every day, depending on how big or how crazy you go with it. Because I don't skimp. I go through a gallon easy.
And are you using it as a preventative spray, Justin?
Yes, and a seed soak.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Louise, you can also, you can put it in, some of the larger grows will put it in like those 30-gallon drums. As long as it's stored in something where the light's not affecting it and it's not open to oxygen, it should last 7 to 10 days.
Okay. And is that with the super, or is that with any machine? I have a Cade. I want to get the super soon, but I only have Any machine. Okay.
Yeah.
And
This
sorry,
this well, this technology is producing the same, depending, it's just different amounts of plates really in the machine. So it's just a difference in output, really.
okay.
And
And then
then
when
the,
you make the hypochlorous acid with the super, you actually get to create your own, right? You don't have to buy the solution. I heard that, but I don't know if that's actually true.
Yeah, they give you a big old bag of salt. And so you just buy the salt through a magic. Great. Anybody else?
There was another question in the chat. How long do you soak the seeds for? Do you just like soak them really quick or soak them until they germinate in the 2.5?
my sunflowers, I soak them for a couple days until they germinate. Yeah, it's within 48 hours usually they start to pop out. And then keep them stirred, keep them moist, or not keep them moist, keep them submerged. So I usually put a bigger weight on top to kind of keep them under.
Do you
It definitely speeds up.
like fold them in paper
What?
towels? Do you,
Sorry.
thanks. Do you
Well, sunflowers, I'm doing 800 grams of sunflowers, so it's a bucket. But individual seeds, yeah, wet paper towel, ganja seeds, not, microgreen seeds. Microgreens, thousands of seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Paper towel wouldn't be.
That makes, yeah, I'm just getting an idea of like
I've got a big picture. I soak my peas, sunflowers, any of the large seeds. Everything else I can just apply to my seed mat and then just spray generously. Plus, it sanitizes your containers. Even though you wash them and then set them outside, we're in pollen season, so you just get contaminants reintroduced. Even if you just wash them and set them up, they're dirty again already sitting outside. So spraying them right after you seed before you stack them up helps keep things surface spot contact clean, sterilized, sanitized. And yeah, very little issues on that.
Thank you so much, Justin, for being here. And I know you're busy, so it's just so nice to see you cutting those microgreens and being here with us. So Jordana, did you want to share really quick before we hop off?
I was putting the baby down earlier. That's why I couldn't share in the beginning. But no, my husband uses it for his hemp plants. He has an indoor grow. It's all boutique style and very high quality. And he definitely uses, or he has noticed a difference. We are just now able to look at the buds that he was used, that he doesn't have a Kate there or a super there yet. That's happening soon. But he is just spraying the 2.5 and the 11.5 as his IPM ritual. And it's doing more than just like IPM. It's really enhancing the colors of the buds. There were some blue hues and some pinks and these different colors, and the smells, they're just really, there were just some really intense smells and colors that were unique to what we were to that we haven't seen before. So we're really excited to share more and to grow more and to have it be 100% living water on the next couple of grows. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jordana. Thank you all so much for being here. If there's no more questions, I put the Telegram link in the chat. So I'd love for you all to join that. And just, again, you can invite leads to this. We're going to be posting the flyer that will just be updated with the new date every single week in that Telegram chat, and just share your results with us. We want to see pictures. I want to see you guys eating this yummy stuff. I just posted a bunch of pictures of my partner is a taco chef. He makes tacos at a local farmer's market. He was using Justin's microgreens on top. So, we'd love to just get this blowing up more, because we know so many of you already own machines. So hopefully you learned some things today that can just easily be transitioned. So again, I will have the recording of this and I will post it in the Telegram chat. It'll just make it easier for me. Everything's going to be posted in that chat, so it'll all be in one place. So again, thank you all so much for being here, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Again, thank you, Sarah, so much for your time tonight, and Justin as well. Thank you. Bye, everybody.